Most people, especially moms, feel like they have to give up their life's desires for their kids. They feel like they can't start living and pursue their dreams until their kids are grown. That is not the truth. The Proverbs 31 woman did it all. I struggled with balancing everything for a long time. I thought one thing had to fall to the wayside while I tackled something else. The true juggling effect. But I did learn to balance. I'm still perfecting it, but I want to share what I've learned in hopes that it pushes you to pursue your dreams and live a successful, well-rounded life. Hey, Tania Thomas here, Jesus lover, dedicated wife and mom, serial entrepreneur, and extraordinary real estate broker. So I had my daughter at 16, and that put a fire under me to just go and get it by any means. My first thought was provision. I vowed that no one would have to help me take care of her. Not my mom, my dad, or even her dad. I was gonna make it happen. I fell into real estate at 18, and I was able to see more money in a few months than most people see in a year. That really put a fire under me to get more. I always wanted more. There's nothing wrong with that, but what was the motive? Well, for me, at the time, it was to prove the naysayers wrong. The people who talked about me and said I would never be nothing because I had a baby so young. So first, my motive was wrong. And second, my priorities were all out of whack. Yes, provision is needed. But what about working on myself internally so I could be better for her and show her better than I had? Thank God I eventually got there, but she was 12 when I really started to work on myself internally. Your internal growth is more important than anything because who you are internally shows up externally. Okay, so I started getting my priorities together. I put God first because He's the only one who can truly help you grow internally. There's like this little hole that only He can fill. I didn't get it right at first. I put God and church first, and for real, everything else fell to the wayside. I learned though that there has to be a balance, and it starts with knowing the order things should fall in. Shout out to my evangelist for teaching me that order. So first comes your devotion to God. That's that one-on-one time with Him, that prayer time, listening and reading His word, and also leaning into Him and listening to what He has to say back. I get up extra early in the morning just to make sure that I put my time with Him first. I had to add this one in, but I would have to say next is your personal development and self-care, because if you're no good, you can't be any good for anyone else. I got personal development in the bag, but I'm still working on the self-care part. I'm gonna get there though. Next, if you're married, would be your spouse. You have to make time for your significant other. Time without the kids and not just in the bedroom. You have to continue to cultivate that relationship. Date each other, have intimate conversations, and don't just talk about the house or the kids. Love on each other and really give yourself to each other. Some people get lax when they get married, but you have to keep your relationship fresh and fun. Make it a priority. Then comes the children. So I always made sure I did what I had to do for my children. They were provided for. I made sure they were at church and extracurricular activities, and thank God I've always been an entrepreneur, so even the events and field trips at church I was able to attend. They even went on multiple vacations a year, but I was missing that intimate time with them. I learned that it's so important to have that one-on-one time with your children, as well as family time. I make it a priority to sit down at the table and have dinner with my children at least twice a week. I have 2 children over 18, so they have their own lives, but I make sure that we all make each other a priority on those days. I also implemented quarterly one-on-one dates with them, because it's so important for our children to know they are a priority and to get that one-on-one time with them so we can see what's really going on with them, especially teenagers. The next thing I would say is helping out at your local church, working on your purpose or what God has called you to do when you find out what it is. This is so important, and most people don't even include this anywhere in their priorities. I know I didn't for a long time, but it's so important to find out what you're here for, develop it, and pour it all out. Serving at your local church will help you to recognize the gifts and callings that God has placed inside of you. Every one of us on this earth came here with a purpose, with gifts inside of us. We have to first and foremost connect with God to find out what those are and work on them. If you don't know what your purpose is, I encourage you to start praying about it, because you for sure have one. Also, a book recommendation is Purpose Driven Life. I'll put it in the description. That really helped me to develop my purpose, to find out what it was. And then the course that I've talked about several times, Ascend to Fulfillment. That one helped me to go after my purpose. It's actually why I'm sitting here talking to you on YouTube. Then there's work. I had this out of order for a very long time. Work was first for me. I had been the sole or primary provider for my children's lifestyle for so long that I put work first, thinking that was putting them first, but it wasn't. They need way more than provision. But work is important too, because if you don't work, you don't eat. What's amazing for me is that my work is intertwined in my purpose and the calling on my life. So it made it so much better and easier once I realized that. A lot of people don't know that God put us in places, roles, and positions in our jobs to realize and or develop their purpose. So that's my order. And after that is anything else you want to do or have time for. I truly believe having fun and making time for your family and friends is very important. But in order to thrive, we have to put first things first. And in order to stick to the priorities we talked about, you have to learn to say no. You have to say no to what's not a priority in your life in order to say yes to what is. That's how you manage your time and make the best out of the life that God has given you. And I'm not gonna lie, this was hard for me to learn, especially since I was a people pleaser. I thought I had to be at everything someone gave or do anything someone asked me to do. But what helped me was making sure that I put the priorities that we talked about above on my calendar. And if it interfered with any of those, I had to say no. And of course, I have to add in, it cannot be go, go, go all the time. Another thing that was hard for me to learn. We have to make time to rejuvenate. Take vacations often. I learned that as hard as I go on a daily, I need one at least every quarter just to rejuvenate so I can continue to give my all in every area. Because if not, I'll get burnt out. So just to recap, make sure that you keep your priorities in order. Write them down, put the order they should go in, right? And learn to say no. And to help you say no, put those priorities on your calendar. So if you like this content and you want to see more like it, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I drop new content.